Hello, everyone, and welcome into the Go 24/7 Instant Reaction Podcast. Well, it's kind of a little bit delayed, as you can see, not normally in where I am, and hey, it's okay. But hey, we welcome you in on the YouTube channel. If you make sure you're there, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you like the video and you talk to us over there as well. And if you hadn't already, make sure you subscribe in those podcast feeds too. Go 24/7. My name is Bryce Koon, the host of this show, and let's get rocking and rolling. Big news for LSU is Jaylen Chapman, 2026 interior offensive lineman, makes his announcement that he is committing to in-state program, the LSU Tigers. And look, this is another feather in the cap of Brad Davis, continuing to do work, continuing to keep, not just top-tier guys in LSU's backyard, but just top-tier guys in general. I mean, obviously, Jaylen Chapman, the kid out of Warren Easton, talented young man. We're going to talk about kind of who he is and what he brings to the table. But I'm super pumped to kind of see how this can continue to fold in the 2026 class. Now, this is obviously one of kind of the domino effects of that Bayou Splash event. But the New Orleans native is ranked as a 3-star recruit. He's a top 50 interior offensive lineman in the country. We expect that to rise. Number 365 in the country. And total players as well. Once again, expect that to rise, but a top 15 player in the state of Louisiana in that 2026 recruiting class. He's also a guy who competes in track and field. He posted a 43.7 shot put rep as a sophomore per mile split, which is pretty impressive. And then he was a Louisiana 5A regional qualifier in the shot put as a freshman, and he finished fifth in throw with a 43.11.75. Jaylen Chapman, this is a guy who a lot of people like. He is a talented young man, and he adds to a class way too early to really look at this stuff. But a 2026 class that includes Edna Carr, defensive lineman Richard Anderson, McDonough 35, safety Ja'Kai Anderson out of New Orleans, and then now Jaylen Chapman, the third player out of New Orleans, an entire class based out of that city for LSU, and it's defensive line, safety, and interior offensive line. Still a long way to go, but starting to get some building blocks in that 2026 class. So Jaylen Chapman, he's talented. He's physical. Got the chance to see him. I think fans will be pretty impressed just with what he can bring to the table in terms of Brad Davis wanting to, build him and just keeping talented guys that could be risers in the state. You keeping them in your backyard. And, this is a guy who is going to grow. He's going to develop it. He already had offers from programs like Georgia, Oregon, and Arkansas. And he's kind of been one of those guys that I think that has been a foundational piece for LSU to look at just in terms of this 2026 class. There's obviously plenty of room to keep adding here, but this is one of the guys you want to get on board. You want to see him grow. And if he even continues to burst onto the scene, as maybe a top 20 interior for offensive line, maybe top 15, top 10, something like that. Well, you've got him in your backyard, and now you've got him committed. And you've got him right there. So this is one of the guys you jump in early, you allow him to commit early, which they did, and he becomes one of your building blocks, one of your main recruiters as Brad Davis goes out to build another kind of big wall that he's continuing year in, year out, and stacking great offensive line recruiting classes. That's huge. I mean, Brian Kelly talked about this at SEC Media Days about how he wants to have a Joe Moore award-worthy group out there each and every single day, each and every single year. And so getting Chapman here early on, 3-star, whatever. This is a big pickup. It's a nice pickup. You keep him in your backyard and you continue to build. And I like this. This is a position room that has completely been revamped. LSU fans 5, 6, 7 years ago to now when Brian Kelly is getting here, people might have an issue with some of the things that Kelly has done. This cannot be one of those. His stability that he and Brad Davis have brought to this offensive line room is both recruiting and development. It's one of the best in the country. And you're going to see that result come to fruition, obviously, in the 2025 NFL draft with Will Campbell and Emory Jones. All right, so let's take a look at the tape here. When you just really look at what Chapman brings to the table, I mean, this is a guy who, look, folks, for lack of better words, I mean, he is a guy that is going to continue to grow. He's got things to continue to work on, but it's not all like he's not a finished product, especially just coming off a sophomore season where he's going to keep growing. He's going to keep developing. You see him, he's going to play a little right guard. He's going to play a little left guard. He's going to pull He's a physical guy, likes to get downfield, likes to play in the run game. You can see him right here lining up at tackle, completely just kicking out that edge rusher and allowing for a nice gain there for their that Warren Easton offense. But I like the way that he can seal the edge as a blocker. I think that's one of the bigger things when I looked at the film and his speed. I mean, look, you go back to this kid and what he brings to the table. Um, look, it's a guy who is going to grow. Like we keep saying that, but he's already 6'3", 275. I think he's got a little more room to grow. He's got a nice, size already to play the interior position. Could he grow into a tackle? Maybe. Kids have taken growth spurts before, and it's, been nuts when you see things like that. But I think overall, when you look at what Chapman can do, it's one of those things where you develop, you become that guy that can be dominant, and you hone in on the things you're really good at. And I've said this, I already said it. He seals off the edge very well in terms of being able to kick guys out, like you're going to see here, picking up, having the awareness to pick up guys, and really like punish them. Like he's a punishing blocker. And you're going to continue to see that over and over when you watch his film, creating running lanes. Like you see him push all the way up to the second level. The running back goes for the cutback to the left side, and he's got 5, 6, 7 yards. That's the kind of stuff that LSU last year on the field did a lot of passing. But if you can get to a situation where you're really starting to run the football with the way they're recruiting the running back position, not what they just have here, but Harlem Berry, JT Lindsey as well in that 2025 class, this is a guy that you can work with, and he's got to be polished. He's got to work out some of the things that maybe he gets away with at the high school level that the college level will expose, especially in the SEC. But like I said, I think this is a nice piece to the puzzle that they've added, and I genuinely believe when you take a look at his tape, you might think the same. So Jaylen Chapman is a really, really fun player to watch. Encourage him. Obviously, if you're in the Louisiana area, you got to go get down. You go down, watch a Warren Easton game, and take in one of the newest Tiger commits. What's next? Well, what's next is still trying to sort out what's going to happen in this 2025 class. LSU's in on a couple of guys. Aiden Anding's one that I'm keeping my eye on, the defensive back there from in North Louisiana and Ruston. You have a couple of other guys that could be options, but we'll see. LSU's got some, we'll say, some lines in the water. 2025 Bayou Splash was an interesting event. Obviously, a lot of people monitored the situation, including myself, with what happened with Jermichael Garrett. You can catch that latest info kind of in our Tiger Wrap edition of over on Go 24/7 Sports. All things LSU Tigers that you need to check out and you need to look at as well. But this to me it was a successful Bayou Splash in terms of being able to get guys on campus, acclimate them, and we're going to keep an eye on what these guys can do. Keep an eye on the linebacker breaker 2025 South Carolina commit. Really enjoyed his LSU visit. Is it enough to flip him? That's a battle that I'm keeping, trying to keep the pulse on of how LSU's doing. But Blake Baker did a really, really good job with he and his father. They loved the Baton Rouge visit. They loved everything about LSU. This offer he had told me he had been waiting on. We'll see. Does it mean he's going to flip? No. But does it mean that LSU put their best foot forward and is working to get that? Yeah. And when you look at the roster, how it's constructed, could you use 3 linebackers in the 2025 class? Maybe you could, depending on what could leave and what could happen. So, going to be very interesting to watch. But my name is Bryce Koon. We appreciate you tuning in. Quick little episode here late on a Sunday evening. You might be watching this on Monday. We appreciate you as well. And we'll catch you next time. Go 24/7 Podcasts. We'll see you next time. Make sure you subscribe, hit that notifications bell, and catch us next time when we talk LSU Tigers, all things Tigers, on the Go 24/7 Sports YouTube channel.